Welcome to the Blue Duck Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the Week 6 Fantasy Football Preview Show. I'm your host, Ben, and with me as always is Maddie Nice. If this is your first time watching and listening, make sure you follow or subscribe as we post 2 podcasts a week, recapping and previewing the NFL games. We go into player values, trade targets, waiver ads, and more. So make sure you hit that notification button to get notified when we post. But let's move on to the Week 6 preview. Matt, you got any news for us today?
Nothing that we won't go over during the actual game previews.
Sounds good. Let's jump right into the Thursday nighter. The New York Giants travel to New England to take on the Patriots. No Ingram, no Shepard, no Barkley, no Gallman. So Golden Tate, to me, is a borderline top 30 wide receiver because there's nobody else. I mean, sure, Darius Slayton is there, but he's not going to be that high. The Giants are going to trail, and they're going to be passing all day long. I have no interest in any of the running backs here. This is going to be a pass-happy day for Danny Dimes. That's what they call Daniel Jones, Matt. I'm not sure if you knew that. Danny Dimes is a top 20 quarterback for me this week. Matt, with this being Shepard's second concussion of the year, where do you have him ranked in Dynasty leagues going forward?
For Dynasty, I'm not overly concerned about that. I have heard they're going to keep him out actually quite a while with this one, though, this year. Let me just pull up where I have him currently and see if I would change anything.
If you'd like to check our Dynasty rankings, they were just updated last Saturday on BlueDuckFantasy.com. We have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end Dynasty rankings, half-point PPR.
Yeah, okay, I've got him at wide receiver 35. I don't really see that changing with the concussions. He's still going to be the guy in New York. I mean, as long as this doesn't turn into like a career-threatening issue. I mean, guys have suffered multiple concussions before in a season, and they've been back just fine the next year. I wouldn't change him much for Dynasty. 35 seems like a good spot for him here.
Do you have my ranking there?
Yes, I do. Number 33.
Yeah, so that's about the same. Maybe I'll drop the 35 and copy you for once.
Yeah, but Giants players, the only one I would even consider starting as a flex tomorrow is Golden Tate. And, yeah, I wouldn't start with Slayton or anything. New England's defense has been pretty good, even though they've been in blowouts and not playing great offenses. They have been pretty good with shutting down. And what does Bill Belichick do? He takes away your top weapon. All those other guys are gone. Golden Tate is the top weapon. As sad as that is, he's going to have a game plan for him. For New England, I mean, it's starting Brady, Edelman, Gordon. Those guys are both questionable, it sounds like, but I think they'll both play. And Sony Michel, to a lesser extent, James White. You mentioned that there might be a weather issue there, so keep an eye on that. That'll hurt the passing game if it is pouring rain all day.
Yeah, I'm good at what you said. The 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and Mr. Tom Brady are good starts in this one. Keep an eye on the weather. But even if the weather is bad, I still see maybe the yardage going down for Tom Brady, but the touchdowns will probably still be there as they love to have Brady get some touchdowns for no reason when the score's up. Like he threw 42 times against the Washington football team. So, Matt, who is your pick in this one? You're sticking with the Giants that you picked before the show?
Yeah, no, I'll take New England in the upset.
Patriots favored by 16.5. I'll go Patriots at home as well. It's just because they're at home.
Okay.
Moving on, the early game, and we mean early, in London, Carolina, Tampa Bay, in London. Carolina favored by 2.5 in this one. The over-under 48.5, so they're expecting a high-scoring game. But this is London, and crazy things can happen. I actually like Kyle Allen in this game, but not quite enough to start him. He's top 15 this week, though, but that's with 4 teams on bye, so he's technically not even in the better half of the quarterbacks. And I know I said I was on the DJ Moore bandwagon, but he's only a high flex in 2 wide receiver sets this week. Curtis Samuels is going to be a boomer bust play. Emphasis on boom, as they'll probably be looking to score a lot of points against this Bucs offense. He's not a bad player to plug into a DFS lineup, as should be high scoring, unlike their first game. The Bucs D did stop Christian McCaffrey in week 2, only allow him to get 37 yards on 16 carries and 16 more yards on 2 receptions. Matt, what is the percentage chance that the Bucs D hold Run CMC to a single-digit fantasy point performance in standard scoring? Remember, this game is in London, and crazy things happen over there.
crazy things do happen, and that's why I did bump McCaffrey all the way down to number 4 in my standard rankings this week. I'm going to say they have about give them some chance. I'll give them an 8% chance that they keep him as a single-digit score.
Going to go with a 30% chance.
Wow, you don't have much faith in him getting in the end zone then?
I guess not.
No, getting in the end zones gets you 6 of those 10 points you need. Or anyhow, okay, for for Carolina here, yeah, you're going McCaffrey. He did miss today's practice with a back injury, so monitor that. It doesn't sound like it's going to be anything that's worrisome, but just in case. But yeah, the 2 receivers there, you said we've actually got DJ ranked the exact same in standard formats there.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. I don't have Kyle Allen as a start this week outside of the 2 quarterback format. For Tampa, you're running out the usual guys. Unfortunately, it looks like O.J. Howard's going to spend another week in the top 10 tight ends.
We just can't get rid of him.
No, it's because of these buys. I've been trying to rank him further down, but he's at number 9 for me, and actually number 9 for you.
Yeah, I think we have pretty much the same tight end rankings. I know 1 through 6 were identical.
Actually 7 as well.
7 now.
Yeah. And 9. Okay, and 8 actually.
So through 9.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Copy.
You have to keep starting him, I guess, but I don't expect much. Godwin and Evans are good plays, and kind of lay off the running backs. If you have to start one, I'd start Ronald Jones.
Yeah, and if you want to check out our full rankings, they are available on BlueDuckFantasy.com. We got quarterback, running back is PPR and standard. Same with wide receiver, PPR and standard, and tight end as well. Tampa Bay, I officially, for the first time, have Godwin over Evans this week. Can't really put up a 0 and say ahead of the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. I probably should have Winston higher since I have the wide receivers both in the top 10, but I don't think he throws to anybody else in the team, so he could technically go for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Evans and them would have almost 20 points in standard. Yeah, nobody else catches passes. We mentioned O.J. Howard doesn't do anything. As for the running backs, they're flexible plays, and as always, if you have both running backs, just flip a coin, put that guy in. Matt likes Ronald Jones, but who knows who it's going to be. Matt, who is your pick in this one? Carolina favored 2.5.
I will go with the home team, Tampa Bay.
I will also go with the home team. Moving on, Cincinnati at Baltimore. Matt, your thoughts on the Bengals in this one?
Let's start with Joe Mixon.
He's my favorite player now since I have him ranked higher than you.
Yeah, you have him ranked higher rest of the season and today. For this week, sorry. But yeah, I've still got him in the top 12 running backs there. Should be a good day. The Baltimore run defense hasn't been very good. Teams just happen to focus on the running game when they play Cincinnati with a good reason. He's their most talented offensive weapon. Tyler Boyd will probably be shadowed by Marlon Humphreys. And no A.J. Green yet. And obviously John Ross is out for a long time. So for Bengals, you're going Boyd and Mixon. That's it for the Bengals.
Where do you have Auden Tate ranked?
Probably near the bottom, but I'll double check here.
All right. Yeah, I really like both Boyd and my new favorite player, Joe Mixon, this week. I have one of them in my DFS lineup, but you'll have to wait until Friday to see which one. So make sure you hit up BlueDuckFantasy.com for the daily post there. Where do you have Auden Tate?
Number 46 in standard.
That's pretty high.
You also have him as 46.
Mm-hmm. As for the Ravens, Marquise Brown is barely a top 35 wide receiver for me this week, so he's not starting 2 wide receiver sets. And Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews are always starts for me, and Ingram as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Marquise Brown, yeah, I've got slightly higher than you. I've got 33. You got 35 there in standard format, so medium flex play.
Yeah, way to change that one a little bit so it doesn't look obvious that you copied.
Well, I have to. But other than that, the rest of the guys for the Ravens, I'm on board with starting.
Who's your pick to win this game?
I will take the Ravens.
Favored by 11.5. I will also take the Ravens. Moving on, Houston Texans. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Carlos Hyde revenge game. You best believe I have in my DFS lineup. Run. Keep it away from Mahomes. Even Duke Johnson is a high flex for me this week. But in all seriousness, this should be a very high-scoring game. As obviously, the over-under here is at 56. Hopkins and Fuller are top 20 wide receivers this week, and Watson is a start every week. It's just the running backs this week are there. And don't forget, this is Carlos Hyde's revenge game. He was cut by the Chiefs, or was he traded?
He was
traded?
Yeah.
Even worse.
I don't know how that's worse, but it's kind of the same. But yeah, the strategy there is with teams you've been seeing it against Kansas City this year. You just keep running it to make sure that Mahomes doesn't get on the field as little as possible. That's the thing there. What was it? D-Hop. We thought he was going to break out last week. I'm going to call his breakout again this week here.
If you call it every week, you're eventually going to be right.
Yeah, it's got to happen, right? And Will Fuller, I don't have him nearly as high as you do, actually. You're 19, I'm at 30. So I've got him more in the flex range.
Is Kenny Stills going to be back? Have you been talking to him on the phone at night?
It doesn't sound like he's going to be back quite for this game, but I don't know. It just seems like he doesn't do this 2 weeks in a row. So
he has, though.
Well, he doesn't this time.
Okay, you heard it here.
Flex play, though.
Flex play in 2 wide receiver sets. Start in 3 wide receiver sets. Will Fuller will not do it again. Well, obviously, he's not going to do what he did again. No. But 100 and touchdown, I think he could do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Matt, what about the Chiefs?
Yeah, don't get deterred with Mahomes. He's had 2 poor games. This is a good matchup for him. The ankle injury isn't really that worrisome to me. I haven't really heard much about Sammy Watkins playing this week or not.
I don't think he's going to play.
No? Okay.
And even if he's going to play, he might just step out like he did last week.
Yeah.
This is the Sammy Watkins that we all know and hate.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill might be playing, though. That'd be a big boost for them.
That would be.
And then who was the guy last week?
Pringle.
Yeah. We didn't even bother ranking him this week. That's how little faith we have that that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, watch the Watkins news. If he's not playing, then Hardman or Robinson's going to be good there. They're just going to flip with Tyreek. But yeah, and Kelsey, obviously an obvious start. Best running back for me I have is Shady McCoy.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Before I should double check that when I say that, but
Shady McCoy, who was pulled from last game because his pass protection wasn't up to Andy Reid, his coach in Philadelphia, when he was a young lad coming up, wasn't up to par. So I don't understand how this pass blocking's gotten worse.
I thought it was the fumble that he got pulled for.
No, I heard his pass blocking.
Well, maybe it's both.
Yeah, probably was.
Okay, but I've got him as the highest running back for the Chiefs this week.
How high do you have him?
21.
Okay, so you have Damien Williams just behind him at 23.
Yeah.
And I have Damien Williams at 22, is the highest ranked for me. I think LaShawn McCoy is going to have a smaller role this week, so I'm not overly high on him. I have him at 33, so he's a borderline flex play. Obviously high on Mahomes, but I'm not high on these wide receivers, simply because teams are keeping the ball out of their hands. He doesn't have a chance to throw as much as he used to, so it's not like all the wide receivers are going to be good. You saw last week, Hardman was okay, Pringle was great, and Robinson didn't do anything. So I have both of them just outside the top 30, and you can throw Pringle inside the top 40 as well. But one of them will probably have a good game. Another one will probably have an okay game, and one will be terrible. I bet that Pringle will be the terrible one, but I'm still not expecting a lot from either Hardman or Robinson. So if I have a safer play, I'm probably going to go with that.
Where are you putting Hill if he's healthy? Because I see that you don't have him playing.
No, I don't think he's going to be playing. I don't think Watkins will be playing. If Hill is healthy, he'll be inside the top 20 for sure. And all these guys will bump back down. But I don't know. He'd probably be...
He's higher than 104, which he currently is.
Yeah, he's higher than that if he plays. But like I said, I don't believe he's going to play. Just looking at my rankings here on BlueDogFantasy.com, I would probably put him ahead of a lot of these players. So maybe closer to top 10.
I got him at 12, I think.
Yeah, I have Odell Beckham at 12, so I'm not overly attached to that position. I'd happily put him in that range. So he'd be in the top 15, probably close to the top 10. But yeah, I don't really get the McCoy thing, the pass blocking after, 10-plus years in the league. Now he can't pass block. But Damien Williams is the player I'm higher on in the running backs. If I can avoid McCoy, I would. And that's about it for the Chiefs. Matt, who is your pick to win this game?
I will take Kansas City. I don't think they're going to lose twice in a row
I
at
will
home.
take the Houston Texans on the road.
Wow.
That's one different. Matt, why don't you tell us about the Saints who visit the Jaguars this week?
Obvious start, Kamara, Thomas. But this week, I actually don't mind Teddy Bridgewater. He's borderline. He's quarterback 15. I had to pick him up as a starter in one league just because the quarterbacks were all gone basically or on bye.
Is your thinking if you rank him higher in your rankings, there'll be good karma and he'll do better for your team?
Well, he was pretty good last week against
He
the
was
Jags.
pretty good last week.
And the Jaguars, against the Bucs he played last week. Against the Jags here, if Jalen Ramsey plays, obviously it's a little bit different story, but the Jags' pass defense has definitely been susceptible this year, even when Ramsey was there. So I think Bridgewater's in for an okay day. I'm not expecting anything too great from him. It's just kind of a plug and play there because I don't know, whoever my quarterback is in that league is on bye. And there's nobody else on this offense that I'm trusting yet, not even Latavius Murray.
Trying to figure out who your quarterback is that's on bye. Since we have Oakland on bye, you don't have Derek Carr.
No.
You don't have the Chicago quarterback.
No. Is that
You don't have Indy's quarterback.
Oh, you know what? I am streaming quarterbacks in that league because I had Cam at the start. That's what it was.
Okay, so you have Jacoby Brissett was probably your quarterback last week.
Yeah, I needed bad.
Yeah. As for the Saints, Kamara, Thomas are not the only startable players for me, as I have Jared Cook, number 12 in my tight end rankings. Okay. So he can be started in 12-team leagues, barely. Actually, because I had Herndon outside the top 12 before the injury. So, as for the Jaguars, Minshew has been pretty consistent and should continue that this week as he garners his highest ranking for me of the year, number 17. Fournette's a must start, but DJ Chark is going to see plenty of Marshawn Lattimore, who's been a pretty good shutdown corner this year. So I've dropped his value to just inside the top 40 wide receivers. So much as I like the talent, I think it's a really bad matchup. And although he did well last week in what was supposed to be a bad matchup, I'd avoid him this week. In a 3 wide receiver set, I guess you can give him a go if that's all you have. But outside of that, I'm thinking D.D. Westbrook, who I have just outside the top 40, has a good chance of being the leading receiver this week as he'll be playing against an inferior corner. Matt, your thoughts on the Jaguars?
I mean, yeah, we don't have to really talk about Fournette. DJ Chark he's 31, I think, for me this week, so he is a little bit lower than just outside in the flexible range. We had Gardner Minshew versus, I think it was Baker in the who would you rather start? Mm-hmm. Did you look at the results of that so far?
I saw it was 90-10 at one point.
For Gardner.
Yeah.
I think it was 87-13 when I voted, because I voted for Baker. Maybe that was the shift.
You're the only one.
That, to me, is just crazy. I mean, fine, he's a good matchup.
Could you imagine this preseason take? Start Gardner Minshew over Baker Mayfield in Week 6. Imagine saying that before the season started.
Yeah. that would have been quite the prediction. And I'm just looking here. I guess Mr. Black has him ahead of Baker this week, but you and I have him lower.
Yeah, but he's still pretty high this week. I don't think Baker's that much higher for me than Gardner is.
13-17.
Yeah, so 4 spots, both of them outside the start range. As we have talked about in our trade talk this week, DJ Chark, perfect time to sell. Link to that in description. We talk trades, a lot of players to target, and some to sell. Moving on, after you make your pick, who do you like here, Saints or Jaguars?
I will take the Saints.
I will also take the Saints. Moving on, Eagles, Vikings in Minnesota. Matt, your thoughts on the Eagles?
Not a great start for either one of the backs there. I mean, if you have to start one in standard formats, I'm starting Jordan Howard. I'm just looking here. Yeah, I've got him as 26, and he's the top high of the 2. I'm good with starting Alshon and Ertz, of course, and Carson Wentz. I'm always good starting. I haven't heard anything about Deshaun Jackson yet this week. He was targeted around this time, so he might play. He might be an okay best ball kind of guy. I would give him a week before I really threw him in a regular format. Like I said, I don't trust the other tight ends here or the running backs here.
Yeah, I actually believe that Djax is dealing with a similar injury that I suffered last year. So it's an abdomen injury that they said. And I remember after I had it, I could barely walk. And even for a while after, I wasn't able to run. So you just can't take a big stride without feeling that pain. So his thing is speed, right? So if he can't run, he really can't do a whole lot out there. So I think they're going to wait for him to be back to 100%, or at least as close to 100%, where he can actually run without pain or without like being limited. I don't see him playing this week. Do you know when their bye is?
No, off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Alshon's always a start, top 25 for me. I have the Philly running backs one spot behind the Tampa Bay running backs. So I have Jones, Howard, and then 4 or 5 spots lower, I have Barber, and then Sanders. They're all in the top 35, but they're not what I would call high flex plays. I keep believing in this Minnesota defense, so I've ranked Wentz as a low-end starter, but Ertz is top 3 every week, obviously. As for the Vikings, I'm higher on Wentz and Cousins, but not by much. Maybe that's my Cousins bias. Cook's an auto start, even though this is a tough matchup as this run defense is good. I like the Vikings to keep passing. They looked good last week. I know it was against the Giants, but Kirk Cousins threw some nice balls, and I think they're going to want to keep that so that he doesn't go back to being the never throwing it into any type of coverage and just playing it safe and then losing to the Bears when they're not doing anything. So I like both Diggs and Thielen in here, and Kyle Rudolph is officially dead to me.
Yeah, I mean, and they might have to just throw a lot more than they want to as well, just because that rush defense is really good. Having said that, I think I've got Dalvin Cook just in the top 5. Just he's too good to kind of keep out of there, but until he gets hurt. Anyway, but
do you have a date predicted for that?
I kind of thought he'd be done by now, to be honest. So I'm surprised. This is all borrow time now.
Okay. Playing with house money now, so definitely trade him.
This is like injury time in soccer. But anyway, Cousins, I've got him as a startable play. I've actually got Cousins ranked higher than you do, which I'm pretty surprised about. But Thielen and Diggs. But yeah, I'm not starting Rudolph anymore. He's also dead to me. I had an option to pick him up. I think I picked Vernon Davis over him, and Vernon Davis may not even play.
Might still get more points somehow. Yeah. Who's you picking this one? The Eagles or the Vikings?
I will take the Eagles on the road to go in.
Take the Vikings at home. Next up, the Seahawks versus the unstoppable offense that is the Cleveland Browns. Matt, your thought on the Seahawks here?
Should be a really good day for Chris Carson. You and I actually were thinking on that on the same lines today. We both have
top 3.
Yeah, we have them both have 3. Yeah, they did not look good against San Francisco on Monday night, trying to stop that run. So Seattle ground game is better than San Fran's in my opinion. So that I expect a huge day from Carson. I think maybe one of the corners might be showing up eventually for Cleveland to cover one of these wide receivers. So I'm not overly bullish on Lockett or DK Metcalf. I think I have Lockett at 26, so he's kind of flex. He's a high flex in 2 wide receiver leagues. Russ is an obvious start. Disley's a start now.
Yeah, I actually have Russ as a low-end starter like Wentz this week, as I see the Seahawks just running all over them, and this being a game where they have the lead and they don't need Russ to be what he was on Thursday last week. It's just a comfortable game where they just run out the clock and not give the Browns a lot of possessions. Tyler Lockett is actually just outside the top 10 or top 20 for me as well. So start him at your own risk in 2 wide receiver sets. DK Metcalf is nowhere near a startable in 2 wide receiver sets. But Big Will Disley should be started basically every week now for me. I just think he's going to be consistent. He's probably not going to get a lot of catches, maybe 5 or 6 for 50, 60 yards, but he's going to be consistent with that floor, and he's going to throw in that touchdown here and there. As for the Browns, Baker's actually a borderline start for me. Chubb is must start. OBJ is a start. Landry is a borderline top 25 receiver. I just can't seem to lower these players, even though they haven't been performing. I know we own several shares of these players in leagues that we're in together. We didn't really talk much about their values in the trade talk, but what do you think their rankings are going forward rest of the season?
I mean, it's still too hard to bring OBJ right out of that top 10, but he's gone from I can't remember what I had him at the beginning of the year, but probably about 3 or 4. Yeah. And he's down to at least number 10, but he hasn't shown it at all, which is not no news to anybody. But Jarvis Landry is the better receiver so far.
Well, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Before that, he did nothing for the first 3 weeks.
Jarvis is going to be hanging around where I've got him this week, about 24, so between 20, about 25-ish, 20 to 25, somewhere in there. That's where I would keep.
Rest of the season, who would you rather have, Jarvis Landry or DJ Chark? Standard.
I know you want me to say Chark, but I'm going to say Landry. I just think that rest of the season, I think he's going to be better. I don't trust Chark to keep this up at all.
Okay.
You think DJ Chark, obviously.
Yeah, I think this offense isn't the offense we expected. I think that offensive line is not holding up. I think Baker's pretty much running for his life, and he's not able to make the plays that he was able to make last year. I can't remember what I was watching where they talked about when they traded for is it Olivier Vernon, and they traded away one of their second best like pass blocker on that offensive line, and they just haven't been able to do much. So that's the reason that I'm taking Chark ahead of him. It's close though. It's not like I would have to ponder it for a bit. I'll give you another one since you like this guy so much. Mike Williams or Jarvis Landry rest of the season.
Mike Williams.
Wow. Jarvis Landry, DJ Moore?
That's close. I'm going to say... if I trusted the quarterback play more in Carolina, I would go with DJ. I'm going to do Jarvis.
Okay, well, I'll go with somewhere where you definitely don't trust the quarterback play. Jarvis Landry or Cortland Sutton rest of the season.
I'm still going to go Jarvis, but I've got them like 24-25 this week. That's really close.
Yeah, it's going to be Sutton for me there. Okay, that's enough Jarvis Landry talk. Jarvis, get your together. And who's your pick in this one, Matt? Seahawks or Baker and the Browns?
I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
I will also take the Seahawks. Moving on, Washington at Miami in the game of the week. I actually have McLaurin inside the top 35. He'll be around here all year for me. I just don't see a situation with this team where I'm going to be confident starting him in 2 wide receiver sets. He's always going to be a borderline start in 3 wide receiver sets. He's a player that I'm looking to trade. Talked about him a little bit in trade talks as a player I'm looking to sell and some trade ideas for him. Take a look in the description. Go to Trade Talk. Watch that video. Moving on here, new coach who says he wants to run more. They're playing a terrible D. Well. Looks like Adrian Peterson might be resurrected here. Unfortunately, he's over 50% owned in CBS, or else he would have been my spot start of the week. Matt, you have him in our CBS league. What % chance does he have of cracking your lineup this week?
Not very good.
That's not a number.
Yeah. Okay, like 15.
Wow. It's higher than 0.
It is.
You do have a pretty good team, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable against any football team right now. Just that offensive line is just that bad.
They're not playing a football team. They're playing the Dolphins.
Yeah. Well, okay. Against a bunch of guys wearing football pads. Anyway, that offensive line is so bad, I can't even trust them against Miami, to be honest with you.
Okay.
McLaurin, I've got him actually a little bit higher than you. I got 32 versus 34. This is going to be the week that if he's going to go off, this will be good. And you talked about it on Sunday that after this week, look to trade him because he's going to have probably his best game.
And Case Keenum, likely the quarterback in this one, which is the quarterback that he had his best games with, so that's good.
Yeah, there's not much else to talk about with Washington and Miami. I am starting 0 of their players even in this game.
0 Miami players?
0.
Okay. If you're feeling sneaky in DFS, Preston Williams is the name to put into your wide receiver lineup, especially if you're short on cash, because I'm sure he's really cheap. It's going to surprise you, but I have Adrian Peterson in my DFS lineup this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going all in on this. Who's your pick to win this game? Washington or this Pee Wee football team called the Dolphins?
This is going to be one of few chances Miami has to get a W this year.
They play the Jets twice.
I know, but the Jets are better than Washington with Darnold. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Wow. I will not take the Dolphins. I'll take Washington.
They're both really bad.
All right, moving on to the afternoon games. First one up, Atlanta at Arizona. Matt, your thoughts on the Falcons?
They had a good showing last week, except for Julio. Still got Julio ranked really high. We're always starting him. Ridley's a good play in this game, I think. That secondary is just still really beat up. Austin Hooper, very good play. That Cardinals defense against tight ends, we've kind of mentioned that like 3 weeks in a row now. Start Hooper. Devonta Freeman is even going to be an okay play for you this week. Matt Ryan, too.
Freeman only a high flex for me this week as I'm completely off the Devonta Freeman bandwagon. This game is supposed to have an over-under of 52, and I'm still just a high flex on Freeman. Julio, Hooper, and Ryan may or may not be my DFS stack this week. Matt, don't copy me. Ridley, as you mentioned, is also a start. As for Arizona, the Atlanta defense is bad, so Kyler could have his best day ever this week. He's actually one spot behind Ryan for me in the rankings, and I might have Kyler and Larry Fitzgerald as my DFS stack this week. Guess you have to check out BlueDockFantasy.com on Friday to see who I actually have. David Johnson is an obvious start if he's healthy, but I'm definitely fine with Chase Edmonds if he's out. I would actually have Chase Edmonds ahead of Devonta Freeman if David Johnson's out. Freeman, definitely somebody we've talked about in this week's Trade Talk episode, so make sure you check that out. Link in the description.
Yeah, good week for Kyler. Like, this defense made Marcus Mariota look really good. So someone with more talent than that is going to do really well. I have him as my highest rank that I've ever done. And probably same for you.
Yep, for sure.
And granted, it's totally matchup based. And he did start to run last week, so he put up 90.
Almost 100. It was like 96.
Yeah, so he's getting that mobility going. Kirk probably isn't going to play, so Fitz is a good.
He was limited at practice today.
Kirk?
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually moved him from 106 on the rankings to 32 or something.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's keep an eye on Christian Kirk because that will obviously affect Larry Fitzgerald's value as well.
Yeah, I might take him out of my stack if he is my stack in DFS. Matt, who's your pick to win this game?
I will take the Cardinals to make it 2 in a row.
I will take the Falcons on the road. That's like 4 different this week.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, I took Miami. That doesn't really count.
Yeah, I don't know why.
For
moving on, 49ers at the Rams. This will actually probably be a really good game. They have it set as a 49 over-under. I don't think it would be that high scoring. I can't start Jimmy G or any of these wide receivers, even though this is a better than average matchup. The Rams D tends to give up a lot of points. If you're desperate, Goodwin or Debo could be flexed in 3 wide receiver sets. I have both Breda and Coleman as top 25 running backs in both formats this week, and Kittle's a no-brainer every week. Matt, question for you. Rest of season, who would you rather have, Matt Breda or Tevin Coleman?
I had a feeling that's who you were going to set up there.
Yeah.
That's really close because I think Coleman will eventually. I think Coleman did have more carries on Monday as well, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, but less yards.
Yeah, I know he had less yards, but Breda also
I
had
think it was like
80,
13 to 11 or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
Breda had like 80 yards on that first run, so kind of
Breda the cheetah.
Rest of the season, I will go Coleman, actually, but it'd be close because I don't know what they're going to do with this backfield. This week, I actually have Breda higher, though.
I definitely have Breda higher this week. If you can guarantee me that Breda stays healthy the whole season, as he didn't last year, I would take Breda. But just to go safe, I would go Coleman. This team's going to run. This is a run-first team.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the first week they've ran all over everybody like they did the Browns. Moving on, Matt, why don't you tell us about the Rams?
Todd Gurley didn't practice today. Watch that situation. You just never know with him. I assume that's probably like just more like a day off than anything. Cooper Kupp has finally made it to the top of the Rams wide receivers in my rankings this week. Didn't want to believe it, but they just keep going to him over and over and over again. But all 3 are startable, assuming that Brandon Cooks actually plays. Watch his situation as well. And Gerald Everett's getting a lot of love on the free agent market there.
Way too much love.
I still got him as tight end number 12 this week. You have 16, so I've got him as a start. You don't really. He's sort of startable.
There's way too much recency bias, and I thought maybe that would go away since they played on Thursday. But no, they're still thinking about that huge game. I believe that I've decided that the fantastic defense that is the 49ers are going to take Cooper Kupp away, And this is a Robert Woods game because I don't think Cooks... Well, I have Cooks here, but I don't know if he'll be 100% or not. Question for you, if Cooks doesn't play, whereabouts would Josh Reynolds land for you this week?
Probably about 40-ish.
Yeah, I have him. I'd say he'd be a top 40%, top 40 wide receiver if Cooks is not playing. If Cooks is 100%, then you got to start him. Gurley starts if he's healthy, but Goff sits this week for me against his pass rush, and I don't think Gerald Everett is startable. Best case scenario, he is the 5th option on this team. Or I guess 4th option if Cooks is out. But Cooks, Kupp, Woods, Gurley are all ahead of him. He's going to have games. Like he did this once or twice last year as well. I just don't expect it again. I don't believe it. Matt, your pick to win this game, the 49ers or the Rams. Rams favored by 4.5 at home.
This is actually a tough decision as well. I'm going to go with the Rams, but it's really tough.
I'll take the 49ers.
There you go.
Cowboys, Jets. I think I'm falling in love with Dak. I didn't think this would ever happen, but I've given him a ranking of 8 this week, which I think is the highest ranking I've ever given Dak. Zeke's a no-brainer start, same with Cooper. Gallup actually almost cracked the top 20 for me in wide receiver since I have Dak at 8. Should be a cakewalk of a game for the Cowboys. I even like Witten as a borderline top 10 tight end against the Jets Jets.
Yeah, I've got Dak as a starter as well. He's not quite in the top 10 for me, but I think he's 11. I just looked. And Gallup is more like flexible to me than a starter. Witten, I'm sure I probably got him around 10-ish. Just going to double check that on BlueDuckFantasy.com. Okay, I've got him 15. So borderline start. In terms of the New York Jets, we're going back to the well with Le'Veon Bell. Darnold is back. This should really help Le'Veon, if nothing else, to create some space in the running game for him. The teams will actually have to respect that they've got someone that can throw the ball back there. The wide receivers, yeah, this does give them a little bit of an uptick, but I don't think I have any of them even in the startable range right now.
Yeah, welcome back, Sam Darnold, but you've yet to ride for fantasy owners, and that's not going to change this week. He's not a start. Le'Veon Bell, who finished exactly as I predicted, 30th in standard last week, but this week with Darnold back, he's inside the top 20 for me, even in standard. Not touching any of these wide receivers. Herndon's out, most likely. Until I see the rapport with Darnold, like it's been 5 weeks since they played together, so I think they had a buy in there. So I need to see it again because none of these players are high priority players. You shouldn't be starting Robbie Anderson. You shouldn't be starting Jameson Crowder. And Demaryius Thomas showed nine targets last week, so that hurts both the other guys. Stay away from the Jets. Wait till you see it a bit, and then you can go from there. Matt, who's your pick to win this game?
I will take the Cowboys.
So will I. Matt, let's talk about the Titans at the Broncos.
I've said this kind of every week with this offense. The only guy you can really trust is Derrick Henry. We both got him ranked number 6. And
that Denver Rushdie isn't the greatest.
No, it's not. Delaney Walker if you have to. I wouldn't start anybody else. Even I have Corey Davis, I think, at number 39 this week.
Wow. It's the lowest you've ever been on Corey Davis, I bet.
He'll probably see Chris Harris all day.
Yeah. Or Chris Harris will just take the day off as he doesn't need to cover anybody. It's as you said, I have Delaney Walker as number 12, and Derrick Henry's obviously to start. As for the Broncos, Lindsey's high flex. Freeman is flexible. Not crazy about this matchup as the Tennessee defense has been pretty good. I could also see this being kind of another 9-6 game, which I apparently just predict every time the Titans play against an offense that isn't great. Sutton's okay in 3 wide receiver sets only, and no one else on this team should see your starting lineup.
Yeah, I've got Lindsey a bit higher. He's a startable running back. Freeman, lower flexible. Cortland Sutton, I've got, I think if in a 2 wide receiver set, he is just outside at number 25.
That's pretty high. That's higher than I have him.
Yeah. I mean, he's starting to come around. I mean, Flacco's looking his way more often.
Yeah, he's definitely a nice contrarian play in DFS as I'm sure a lot of people will probably avoid him. Matt, who's your pick to win this game? Titans or Broncos?
I'm going to take the Broncos to go two in a row.
Broncos make it 2 in a row for me as well. Moving on to the the Sunday nighter, the Steelers at the Chargers. You think Rudolph is going to clear in time, or are we looking at this undrafted free agent quarterback that played last week?
Yeah, I don't think that Rudolph will clear. That just looked so bad last week. He might, but
not practice today. Either way, you got to start Juju. You have to start Connor. And I like Vance McDonald as well this week. I think if you have a young quarterback, he's probably going to look to dump it off. Connor in PPR has a lot more value than Ascender this week. I think he'll catch a lot of passes. And you're just hoping Juju gets game planned in and gets enough targets.
Yeah, I mean, what do young quarterbacks tend to do? They either look for their tight end, which is Vance, or their best player, which is Juju. So they're going to be looking, he's going to be looking
and
that
I'm
way.
sure they'll run a lot of plays where it's just a dump to Connor. And with Jalen Samuels out, Connor's value's up in PPR for me big time.
Yeah, for sure. Chargers, it'll be interesting to see the split between Eckler and Melvin Gordon for snap-wise this week, see how much they're working Melvin Gordon in. I've actually moved Melvin Gordon ahead, though, for this week. So I do believe that he's going to have the better day of the two in standard scoring anyway. Rivers, startable. Keenan, startable. Mike Williams is flexible.
You didn't mention Hunter Henry. I don't expect him to play in this one, but he has been back at practice. I still think this is Eckler's offense. Eckler outsnapped Gordon. I think it was like 65-45 last week. Both of them are top 25 running backs for me. I actually have Mike Williams as a borderline top 20 play in both formats. I think that this Steelers defense isn't very good, and Chargers will win by a large margin in this one. Matt, who's your pick to win?
I'm going to take the Chargers.
Moving on to the Monday Nighter. Are you listening now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Lions at Green Bay. Galladay and Carrion, not Stafford. There are better options out there this week at quarterback. Make sure you check the quarterback rankings on BlueDuckFantasy.com for my full quarterback rankings, as well as Mr. Black's rankings. And I guess, Matt's, yours are there as well, which will either be good for a laugh or copied from mine and slightly altered.
Yeah, okay. Carrion, Galladay, startable. Hawk, I have as not playing because they talked about maybe putting him on the IR, so I think he's not going to be back in 2 weeks. If he is playing, obviously I'll move him way up on my rankings into 10-ish range. But
is his nickname Hurdle? Is it TJ Hurdle Hawkinson?
I don't know what his nickname is.
It is on this show.
All right. Anyway, that's about all you can start for the Lions there. You're not starting Marvin Jones or any of those guys. Not even Stafford. Packers defense the secondary's been really good. Run defense was better.
It wasn't very good last week.
Well, they were up big, so anyway, we'll move on to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers start, Aaron Jones start. Haven't really heard about Jamal Williams playing yet or not. Not really a big deal, I hope, because Aaron Jones should get the majority of the carries. Adams is the guy to watch for practices. They had an extra day off because they're playing on Monday night, so watch the report tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. If he starts getting in practices, expect him to play, but if he's sitting out all week, then I wouldn't expect a miracle on Monday night. If he's out, Jimmy Graham turns into a decent tight end starter as well.
Yeah, it's buy low time on Aaron Rodgers, and we have a lot of trade scenarios, including Aaron Rodgers in them, in our trade talk segment. So make sure you click the link there in the description. I'm still not 100% on board with Aaron Jones being the bell cow back there, but I am this week. I don't think they're going to rush Jamal Williams back into it. I don't care about his 4 touchdowns. Jamal Williams coming off that hit, I don't think they're going to try to rush him out there. They might give him a few snaps to just get him going again. But I eventually kind of see this going back to being not a split, but somewhat of a split. If Adams doesn't play, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Geronimo Allison, funnest 2 wide receiver names to say on any team, they get significant bumps, with MVS being a top 25 wide receiver and Geronimo being around top 30 for me in this matchup, which I like. And if Adams plays, then Marquez Valdez-Scantling would only be startable in leagues where you start 3 wide receivers. Don't let last week deter you from these players. Aaron Jones just couldn't be stopped, and the Packers didn't need to throw, thus costing me from cashing in my DFS league. Not cool, Aaron. and Aaron. Jimmy Graham, top 10 tight end for me this week because of the buys. Anything to add?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hopefully both.
That's it.